What's happening, my beautiful people? My name is Mike LaBelle, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. We have Nick from Run the Foot Market, and we did this video last year, and it went over really well, and we're going to go over some early tips for what you need to kind of be thinking about with FIFA 20, whether you're a very beginner, you're an intermediate player, maybe even an advanced player, because I know that we all tend to have little bits of tunnel vision. I'm guilty of this as well. I'm nowhere near as gifted of a trader as you are, for example.
Mike, let's get it. Let's teach these people what they need to know.
So we're going to give you almost 15 tips to start Ultimate Team. If you guys have not subscribed to Nick yet, I'm going to leave links down below to his YouTube channel and also to his Twitch stream. One of the biggest streamers in the FIFA community, been booming, been smashing out content, gives you advice all over Twitter. Did I get you with enough superlatives?
Yeah, that sounds great, bro. Thank you, bro. I really feel like I have a brother that feels good about me. Thanks, man.
Yeah, brother from another mother. Lovely. Thank you. All right, so I'm building it up. I'm building them up well. If you guys enjoy the content, drop a thumbs up. We've got 14 or 15 tips to talk about in terms of early advice. And it starts with the catalog. I know many of you know to use the catalog, but just in case you don't, when you get into FIFA Ultimate Team, there's a catalog, usually top right-hand corner, and it'll allow you to get loans very early on, which can be huge if you're playing division rivals. I don't know how impactful it would be for the weekend league, but you get coin boost and so forth and so on. Just different ways of generating coins from doing nothing, and you're rewarded instantaneously if you played a lot of FIFA the previous year. Number 2, we have the web app, which I feel Nick is more qualified to talk about than yours truly. I get my free gifts. I'll take those free coins.
Yes, the web app is interesting because the web app used to be very important, like very important. Like you would have it like 5 days before. And ever since EA really did that exclusive deal with EA Access, which we'll speak about in a little bit, or pretty soon, they have really made the web app not as relevant. So really, in the last 2 years, it's only been 12 hours or 9 hours. And I think even last year on Xbox, the web app came out after EA Access. So with Microsoft doing the deal with EA Access and then Sony now doing the deal because PS is getting EA Access this year, I just don't know how relevant the web app is. What I did want to point out to you guys, if it does come out before, definitely hop on, open up your packs, list up anything you're not going to use to get a little base of coins. And the biggest thing would be to go with the web app is the companion app. I don't know when that drops, but just make sure, even if you have that console access, that you're logging on every day. As Mike mentioned, there's free gifts, but sometimes they go crazy with them. I remember last year they were doing one day they did 2,500 coins, and something as little as that is going to mean the world to you in the first week of FIFA. That
can turn into serious coinage. You'd be surprised because, especially if the web app is out before the game comes out, because people don't have ways of generating coins. So they just have to trade their way up. And it's also worth mentioning EA Access, of course, limited time. Therefore, you want to go in and out between using your account and then also being on the web app just to make some of those trades, those investments to watch the market.
Yeah, 100%. If you guys are going to be doing anything on the menus or stuff like that, if the web app is available and functioning, then do most of your gameplay, obviously, on the game, and then go onto the web app when you need to do your management of your club. Another big thing would be this is something a lot of people say, is that if you are doing packs, go on console, load up your points, and then make sure you're going in on the web app and opening them so you can use those 10 hours, for gameplay only, whether it's drafts, rivals, squad battles, any of that.
Just a way of being more efficient.
Yes.
Number 3, and this only works at the very beginning of a title, and it's really the only time that you're going to make coins off of some of these items, but list everything regarding items that do not retain value. When we're looking at kits, we're looking at badges, we're looking at stadiums. Later on in the game, you're not getting anything back there. They're going to be straight discard. However, when the title first comes out, people are trying to get the clubs they support. They're trying to get those kits. They're trying to put together different stadiums and items and even balls. I've sold a lot of balls, which I can't believe has happened for me throughout the web app stage or even early access. So if you get that in a pack or you have the opportunity to just fall into place for you, list them. I know it's not going to be a lot of coins, but kind of like what Nick was saying, every little bit matters at this point of the game, especially if you're not investing money. Number 4, early access. We touched on it very briefly. Nick, is it worth it?
100%, man. If you guys financially can afford it, I think it's $5. It's definitely worth it. 10 hours is going to give you a way upper hand over people even on the web app, because even though they have unlimited time and if they choose not to buy the EA Access, you have the ability to go on the game and start grinding and achieving rewards. Mike and I spoke a little bit about, before recording this video, how much we hate squad battles. However, in the first month or two, it's very, very good. It's very important to try to do that if you can motivate yourself. Play a few games a week, right? Get that gold 3, get that gold 2, get the 10, 15K on the rewards days with that jumbo, I think it's a 15K pack. And then as well as that, you have so many other modes, right? You got division rivals. That's good to start playing some games on. And then if you're a guy, you know, that some of you guys may be looking for a guide of what to do if you're loading up some points, yeah, use some of those points on drafts. Definitely don't just open them all in packs. If you're a player, I personally would say if you can finish, God, with maybe gold 1 and above in the weekend league and get 2, that's probably what, 2 or 3 wins in the draft per draft if you're consistent. I mean, that's something that you got to evaluate, because I think it's 300 FIFA points a draft. Is that right, Mike?
Yep.
So
300 FIFA points. So it's the time versus money.
Exactly.
I guess axis that you have to judge. Which one do you have more of? How evenly can you split them? How good a player are you? And that was number 5, was going to be talking about squad battles. I absolutely hate squad battles. I'm very adamant about that opinion. However, like Nick was saying, especially if you're not an amazing FIFA player, and you got to be honest with yourself, if you're not someone who's going to kill it in division rivals or the weekend league, squad battles can be, I don't want to say a cheat code, but definitely a way to grind the game and make sure that you get some rewards, especially if you end up in the top 100 or towards the top tiers of squad battles. We've seen magical things happen for people. Number 6, early objectives. And some of this is to be undecided with FIFA 20 because there is going to be a shift. But completing early objectives, or just objectives in general, means so much more at an earlier stage in any FIFA installment because of the possibility of getting lucky, or even getting a higher rated foot item that ends up maybe being a superstar in your team or a super substitute. They just all have so much more value, at least in my opinion. Nick, do you have anything you want to say with objectives? Because I know that's shifted quite a bit, or it definitely has shifted to some extent for FIFA 20.
Yeah, it's a grind. I think there's certain ones per week that are not easy. So just kind of, you know, look it out, see the time that you'd have to put in, kind of give it a little bit of an estimate. And if there's something that you think is worth it, definitely try to push yourself to do it. There's going to be some objectives this year, probably with packs. There's going to be a ton of new objectives early on. You know, you have all these objectives now when you go into the game that are actually a little bit more meaningful. I think it's almost like an upgraded starter objective. So I spoke about this before a little bit, but you know, make sure you guys are like thinking about some of the objectives, because they're very different than in previous years. Usually with the objectives, you hop on, you have your starter, you have your basic, and you're kind of just doing the easy menu things. There's nothing crazy. Maybe one's like play a game, play an online, play an offline, 300 coins. This year it's a little bit different. There's a lot of stuff that, you know, it's like score a finesse shot, you get a 2-player pack, stuff like that. I think that there's a lot more progress that they track while you're playing the game. So if you are a guy that's playing some games, after you do the easy objectives, the starter stuff, make sure you're kind of just, whether it's a notepad, you've got it written down or you've typed it on your computer screen, just make sure you guys are like monitoring it and knowing, hey, am I close to that, or can I do this in this game and try to get myself some extra coins out of this match.
Basically, don't ignore it. A lot of times we just get excited because it's a new title and we go play the game, we grind out our 10 hours if it's on early access, or you just get caught building up your team and you forget to do objectives, and you miss out on easy opportunities to generate whether it's additional players or additional income or a mix of both. Number 7, and something that I typically hate doing, it's a little bit of a grind, buying League SBC foot items. I know you will make money, and I'm sure Nick can elaborate a lot better, or at least way more credible than I am in terms of buying up the League SBCs.
Yeah, the League SBCs early on are, you know, you have 2 that usually come out sometimes before the full game release, but always, I think, usually on the 27th, which is this year when the game comes out on that Friday. They always drop kind of 2 pretty early on. It may change year by year, but it is good early on when, you know, you start to build up your coins, and say you're playing the game for a week or 2 and you see that 200K. Okay, what you can do if you have some free time, set aside 30 or 40K into silvers, golds, bronzes that are sitting at their minimum price, which would be their quick sell value, and make sure you're using sites like Flip and Foothead, those kind of sites, to go through and see all of the players in the league. The way that League SBCs work, I think last year there was like 20 League SBCs. They drop them throughout the year, so try to figure out maybe some leagues you think are going to come early on. Sometimes they wait a little bit for the top 5 leagues, but they're very profitable because you can stock these cards in your club for discard values. And EA will release a League SBC, which has a player pick award now, which is the way they did it last year, which is very appealing to a lot of people. And not only that, is that they also have each team has a pack reward, so people will go crazy because you know the FUT community is obsessed with packs. So the second that there's more available packs, people don't really care if it's cheap, expensive. They go onto the market, they start buying these players, and a lot of the times, some of the players that you stocked at minimum price in your club, maybe it was back in the end of September and now it's November, you may have bought in a gold non-rare at 350 coins that sells for 7K because of his rarity now that he's been submitted so many times. So it's something that you definitely don't want to go all out with investing in, but it's almost like when you have a little bit of change or you feel like you've got a little bit of extra coins, you don't need to upgrade your squad, let's say you're listing players already, you're training, you just don't need to use those coins anywhere, then that's a really good time to always invest those into League SBC potential players.
And I would actually, just to add on to what Nick was saying, I would prefer to invest in silvers or bronze if you're going into League SBCs, because your investment's typically smaller, but your payout is equal, if not higher, often for those same FUT items. So getting golds, because everybody's opening packs in hopes of getting golds, they're typically more common, they're cheaper. It's the silvers and the bronze that really make that bankroll, and ironically, they're cheaper early on in the game because a lot of times people are not thinking with the same mindset that this is going to be valuable in a month or 2 weeks or 2 months, just whenever different League SBCs are announced. Number 8, and this is a technique that I use every year. I think it's pretty sure-proof if you get the right price points, is Consumable Flips, which is when you're buying, whether it's fitness cards, certain chemistry styles, that you know are going to go up, but because maybe people aren't grinding the game properly, or you got something on early access, there's a major opportunity to buy them, maybe wait a week, and then flip them. Because less people are currently on the grind. When the game first comes, go ahead.
When people log into the game for the full release, you see, as Mike mentioned, all those consumables probably sometimes tripling, if not doubling in price, especially, I think you mentioned before the video, the squad fitnesses are big. Then you have the certain chem styles like the Hawks, the Hunters, the Anchors are huge, the Shadows are huge, those ones are really big. More of the, can we say meta chem styles are the ones that usually chem style wise see going up a lot.
And I would consider this quantity trading versus quality trading. So sometimes with quality, you're picking out certain players that you're going to invest in that are going to allow you for large profit margins. Maybe there's a certain degree of risk involved. However, when you're looking at consumables, if you know the market well, you could guarantee you're going to make money, but you're not going to make tons of money after the tax and everything unless you've bought many of these items. Number 9, and I'm going to call this trading basics. We're looking at the bronze pack method, which is simply buying bronze packs time and time again and basically selling everything in that bronze pack unless you think it's a player that's going to flip at a later stage. But you'd be surprised, but early on in FIFA, so much sells that really shouldn't be selling, and it gives you profit margins and gives you the chance of maybe getting lucky and getting valuable bronze players or guys that you know are going to be valuable. Or I've even seen people pack good silver players out of bronze packs. I wouldn't go as far as saying you're going to get golds, but the point is if you open enough of them, the percentages say something good's going to happen, and you're constantly breaking even or making a small amount of coins per pack that you open typically. So it is more of a grind. Do you bronze pack?
Nope.
You don't bronze pack? I know like guys like I've always seen guys like Nep are definitely
those guys
heavily
do it
into.
a lot, yeah.
Yeah, like a Nep will grind out the bronze packs every single year for. I feel like he's been doing this for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, it's
like, I'm not even exaggerating.
It's a good like overtime method for some people, and it's more of a beginner thing, but it's so accessible that it's hard to move away from.
And well, that's what this video is. It is more of a beginner's guide to to starting FIFA Ultimate Team, because you don't need to have a big skill set for trading or understanding the market to be able to accomplish bronze trading methods. Another way to trade that I feel is relatively simple, and even someone like me who feels like a noob many times when making trades, or I'm a poor decision maker often with some of the trades. Early on, I like to flip rare gold players. I'll buy them for 700, 750, 800 coins, and if they have a couple stats in the right places, you can flip them instantly, or maybe even a day later, a few hours later, and you'd be shocked. You put a buy now on them, and you sell them for 1,200, 1,300 coins. So it's a matter of you stealing them maybe on an open bid and then flipping them for a buy now, but you can do this over and over again. And when you're able to profit 200, 300, 400 coins per player, that's huge for you early on in a game. And I feel like a broken record, but especially if you're not investing real money.
Yeah, and that goes along with just like the lazy listing concept, because a lot of people, when they get the game, you'd be surprised that a lot of people don't really know how to access the market. They don't even know how to set things up. So now that EA, I think it was in like the last years, they introduced the search from concepts thing, or search from the squad menu. A lot of people who play foot don't even go over to the transfer list. They just search the concept of the player out of their squad that they want to add to their squad. And so a lot of the times, like Mike mentioned, when you win, let's say early on, you win like a Ben Yedder for 800 coins. That's a very popular player. Good links, good nationality, and good stats. Has a lot of stats that make people want to use him. Also very good in multiple positions. He's the kind of guy that somebody might search out of concepts, and a lot of people like to list these cards for open bids. So they have that 10K bin. So a lot of the times when you're looking out of the concept buy now search, maybe yours is sitting up there expiring at 1.5K. You bought it for 800 coins, and that guy takes the bite because he looks at it and he says, wow, that's a lot cheaper than the other one. So that's a really good way to make some extra coins early on for sure.
And this doesn't have to apply to minimum golds. So I'll use an example with someone like Ben Yedder or Naki Williams, or these guys that you could see statistically have potential, but people really don't know. They maybe haven't tested the game enough. We haven't experienced a bunch of weekend leagues. Maybe you're buying them for 1,500 coins or 2,000 coins, but you're flipping at closer to 3,000, or you're flipping at 1,900, 2K, etc. Either way, you're making that same 300 to 500 coin range per flip. And because of what Nick was saying, people are lazy to a certain degree, and they just want to get the player as soon as possible. They're not wasting time. They might pay the upcharge of a couple hundred coins or a few hundred coins, and they don't think twice about it. Number 10, and this is if you have excess. That means you have some extra money laying around. And it was mentioned, sort of, when we were looking at consumable flips, but this is actually going to be you buying and storing squad fitnesses, because you can get them for so cheap early on in the game, because people maybe haven't experienced the weekend league yet. They're not thinking about it, especially if you got this during early access, because during early access people are so concerned about playing the damn game that they don't play, because they're like, I don't want to run out of time. And if people aren't playing, they don't need squad fitness cards. And if they don't have squad fitness cards, or they feel like they don't need them, you can buy them for a fraction of what they're gonna cost after 3-4 weeks into the title, and you're gonna need them. If you're gonna be somebody who grinds the weekend league, or you grind division rivals, and you expect to be in the elites, any of the elites, if that's something that you're striving for, it definitely benefits you, and it's gonna be a necessity to have squad fitness cards on deck.
100%. I think not only can you make coins, but you can also ease. It will be a lot easier for you when you apply your squad fitness to know that you bought it at 400 coins rather than 1,500.
I would love to have an Excel document that showed maybe how much you saved. Because if you were buying them, like you said, at 400 or 500 versus buying them at 1,000 or even over 1,000, depending what period of the game you're in.
Yeah, there was times in 19 where I remember they were getting up to, like, when we didn't have promos for long, like when they took like a 2 or 3 week break from promos, so there was no really opening packs, like they got up to sometimes like almost 2K. It was ridiculous.
And sadly, if you're someone who grinds the weekend league, like myself, like Nick,
yeah,
you gotta pay it. If you don't have it, you gotta pay it, because if you lose a game because you feel like your players weren't at their best, they weren't hitting their max potential because they're tired, something has to be broken.
Yeah.
You gotta throw something around. Number 11, and we're gonna call this a secondary team or a fitness squad. But basically, if you're dealing with temporary players, so you haven't been able to get your Ruud Gullit, your Patrick Vieira, your Cristiano Ronaldo, you don't have your main team yet, your staples, and I know those are very big name staples. It could be somebody of much lower value, but if you're dealing with temporary players, you should have 2 squads. And the reason you want to do this is because it allows you to play with both of the teams, keep the fitness high, and then rotate players as well. Maybe you don't want to even spend the contracts. You could be very frugal with how you use both of these teams.
Yeah, it's the efficiency, and then you won't have to worry about a lot of the consumables. And you get to try out different players. That's also a really good point. Like, you're using a ton of different players all the time, and that's going to be good for you to figure out. Maybe once you get past that grind period, which we're talking about right now, then you can kind of figure out who you want to, put in your teams later on. It's definitely better to be trying out, let's say, 22 players at a time than just 11. So, good point.
And to just add a shoulder note, because I know people will ask, once we've gotten a little bit farther on in the game, you do not want to be dealing with secondary teams or fitness squads. If you're a weekend league player, it's not going to work for you. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Don't do that. Don't try to put that on yourself when you're going in and out of a weekend league with 2 different teams. And number 12, so I should have called this the 12 tips. I had other ones written down, but we kind of brought them together when we made points, is going to be hyped players, or as Nick would probably say, inflated players. What does this mean?
It means that there's a lot of newer, hyped up players. Joao Felix, just so you guys understand what we're talking about right away, that kind of player in foot in the upcoming year. Maybe they're already getting themselves a once to watch card. Maybe they're a big transfer. Maybe they are supposed to be receiving a big upgrade. Those are the players that you want to have your eyes on. There's this inflation from the start of the release of the web app that's going to happen for a long time. And what you're going to see is early on, everybody's going to go up every day that goes on for the most part, right? There will be some exceptions. Some players will not go up. Some players are so low rated that their supply over time will just make them cheaper. But there are some players, as everybody's going up, that will beat out the other players and go even higher. And those are usually going to be the players that are super popular amongst the football world, or are huge transfers like a Joao Felix. I think, like, for me, I'm already starting to look at Ferland Mendy and Eder Militao next year, because I already know that those guys are going to be basically the ideal player for a starter team, probably even advanced for a starter team, but in that realm of a team, and they're going to give a strong link to each other. Obviously, both transferred to Real Madrid, and that's going to add a whole other level, right? Because now they play for Real Madrid. You've got La Liga on both of them. They both had very good FIFA 19 items, so people are already going to remember that they were in their endgame teams on 19, and they're going to already want to replicate that with the gold cards next year. So a lot of stuff like that, you'll see those guys probably rising at double the prices of even other cards rising as every day goes on, because they are super in demand.
An example from previous years would be someone like a Rashford or a Martial.
I think
both these guys.
I think last year, I think Davinson Sanchez was a huge one last year.
And it all comes down to hype. A lot of this isn't proven how good they're actually going to be, but they play for the right clubs. They might have the right nationalities. They might have made a big transfer, or they're performing really well. Whether it's this current season or the previous season, either way, it plays a part into FIFA players and just general fans that are supporting the sport and the culture, basically evaluating these players and maybe overvaluing these players in some degree. So you have to be careful in terms of where they might drop off, because if somebody doesn't perform, that could also happen. But it's worth keeping in mind there's an opportunity there. Anytime players are selling for double or triple what maybe they should be evaluated at, there's movement for you, and you always hope to pack them. There's always low-rated guys. Gabriel Jesus is another one that if you get him early on, he's always going to be one of those overpowered, fits the meta, scores goals, finishes 1v1s, and he has the Brazilian link. People love a good Brazilian. Thank you guys for watching. I know for some of you that are very advanced players in Ultimate Team, you might have heard many of these before. But before you get started with a new cycle, a new year, and there's going to be new people watching the videos, it's really important to revisit and to talk about the best ways to get started. Things that you should consider maybe before you make those purchases. And you guys can let us know, what did we miss? What did we leave out? There's the comment section down below. I really appreciate Nick coming on. And of course, if you don't follow him yet, I will leave all sorts of links everywhere on screen, comments, description, all of the above. I know we're both going to be grinding the game heavy.
For sure, Mike. Thanks for having me. Best of luck to everybody with the start. Hopefully the grind pays off for you guys. We're so close. By the time you're watching this video, I think we're within 2 weeks of the release of the web app and the EA access. So I'm super excited, and let's get into it, man. I'm ready.
May the pack gods be with you.